What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the Bucher's Batch of Boys Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Bucher. I've got Kyle Jordan, my lovely partner, with me. As always, Kyle, how you doing?
Doing well, man. This is the highlight of the week, so excited to be on again and talk some baseball. Talk some Bucher's Batch of Boys.
We got to give the fellas what they want to. We're going to get that angry post on Facebook tomorrow morning. There's no pod coming.
Yep. So excited to get into it. And Nick, I know we were talking a little bit before the show started, and typically we'd like to dive right into trades, maybe a couple waivers here and there. But I think today we have something special in mind because there have been some changes in the league recently. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, I think this is just – we would do this on any normal week, but especially this week, given what has happened in the last hour or so. We're potting on the night of May 22nd. The standings have shuffled around a little bit, and we're going to have for you. I don't know if Kyle's going to do it right now, or if Kyle's going to be able to edit this in, but we're going to share the standings because we've got some changes. It's not quite Memorial Day, but we've got some changes. For the first time in a very long time, by a point, McTaggart is no longer leading. You have a new top dog. You've got me. I'm leading.
So I'm trying to share my screen, and now it's saying that there's all of these system preferences that need editing because I've never used my Mac for Zoom.
You can tell we had no expectation that I would have jumped him tonight. We weren't prepared for this at all.
Oh my God. What a mess.
Just take my word for it. And by the time we share this, I bet you it's changed. So congrats, Brandon, on retaking the lead. But as of 7:47 Arizona time, Monday night, I'm up by 1 point. Behind me and Brendan in first and second, there's only 5 points between Brendan and the next team, which is the impeccably charging Charlie Browners. Mark Messickman's best pal, Charlie Brown. He has literally climbed like 2 or 3 points every day for the last month, it feels like. And now sitting at 119, he's right within shouting distance. And rounding out the tier at the top of what is sort of looking like a core four at the top right now is my lovely partner, Kyle Jordan. So after those four, there's nobody for another 14 points. It's kind of solidifying up there a little bit the last week or two.
Yeah, Nick, I will say, just jumping in here, the weather is nice up here. It's a little bit new for me, but I'm enjoying it. So hopefully
how's the view, baby? Looks good, right?
Looking good. Looking up your looking up you.
You got a great view of Charlie's ass.
Well, that's my favorite. We'll talk about this a little later.
Brendan's ass.
But
yeah, we'll get that later though.
Yeah, we'll talk about Chuck later. But
nasty. Why don't we cover some of the trades though? Because I think one of the trades is one of the main reasons we think Charlie has climbed a lot and will continue to climb and be a contender.
Yeah, sure thing. So there have been a few since last time we hopped on, and they're all blockbusters. They're all huge.
There's been 3
trades.
Huge ones.
So the first one is between Roman and Dom, and it was
none of which would include us, by the way. That's shocking to me. It's been a week, and for as much as we talk about this, no one's paid me any taxes. I don't know if you're collecting.
I'm picking up some guys on the waivers. I'm doing my best, and
all right,
so
at least you're getting something then.
Yeah, so please drop some good players for us because this is not really part of the deal.
It makes me anxious that I'm not involved, guys. Maybe cut a few of these players.
So
sorry, go ahead, pal.
This first trade I thought it was really interesting. I actually reached out to Dom on this one, and we'll talk about it. And I'd like to get your thoughts, Nick. But it was Dom trading away Jason Dominguez, Dustin May, Yori Perez in exchange for Alex Bregman, Jordan Romano, and Tim Anderson from Roman. So just to kick off, any high-level thoughts, Nick?
I think it is an exciting one. I think it's a welcome sight to see that Dom is going for it in some capacity here. I think it's not shocking to me that Roman is looking to get the guys who are more keepable. Yuri Perez is probably, in my opinion, the most exciting one of the 3 he got. I know Dustin May is the most likely probably to be a consistent contributor, but I think Yuri is sort of the high upside guy. May's hurt right now too. Dominguez, he's trendy because he's 6'8" or whatever, and he's a freak-looking guy. He looks like baby Aaron Judge, the Martian. He's had a lot of hot and a lot of cold his couple years in the minor league so far. He's going to probably come up in the next year and a half, probably by the end of next year, and we'll see what he is. But it feels like he's one of the prospects in my mind where it's a little bit too early to be paying much to hold on to him for probably all of this year and all of next year. So I don't really think he's a huge value there. But Dom getting back, Jordan Romano, huge top relief pitcher. Really, we've talked before. Relief pitchers aren't the most valuable thing in this format, but the really good ones are still really good. Jordan Romano is legitimately really good.
And
And
it's
then
it's also just one quick note on that. It's also a great fit for Dom because if you look at the standings and look at some of Dom's points, he's pretty strong in across most categories. He has started a lot of starting pitchers already so far this year, but I think he may still be dead last in saves and holds. So
he's in the bottom half, yeah, bottom third, I think.
adding a top reliever in Jordan Romano, I think even more so will help him than other teams. So yeah, great point there. I agree.
It's great going for need, yeah, and he's been doing that for a while too. I mean, it hasn't worked out probably quite as well just because he's had a rough couple of weeks. But Rafael Montero's traded with me back a couple of weeks ago. He's been very proactively looking for good relievers.
Yep.
So, but we've also talked about Tim Anderson and Alex Bregman at different points in the last 2 months. And while I don't think either of us are as high on either one as we were when the year started, these are very useful players. Like I think Dom got significantly better to a point where I don't see really any holes in his offense.
I couldn't agree more. So yeah, I mean, in some aspects they're buy lows, right? But so we've both cooled off on Tim Anderson. We've both cooled off on Alex Bregman. I still think it's very likely, and I don't think this is an overstatement.
They're still good players, though.
I think all three of those guys could be top 75 players, like by the end of the season, and that would not be a shock at all. So the fact that Dom was able to now Perez, I agree with you. I think Perez is very valuable. But push Perez, Dustin May, who won't play again this year, and Jason Dominguez together. And who knows when Jason Dominguez will play? He might not even play next year. And I know that's probably tough for Dom. He's a Yankees fan, but to package those three together for potentially three top 75 players, I think that's a fantastic trade. And he has the flexibility as a roster. He has keepers as well. So I don't think he's really sacrificing his future by getting these guys and trading away May, Perez, and Dominguez. I think he's just kind of optimizing this season and the future as well. I think it's a good play.
Optimizing is a great way to say it.
We've talked about this before. I think sometimes you don't want too many players. I think I could be wrong on that in some ways based on what I said last episode, but I do think it's good to just make a couple of plays. You don't want all of your players at the same level. You want a couple of stars. You want a couple of duds. If they don't work out, you drop them. But I'm a huge fan of this trade. I think last week we talked about your trade, Nick, with Misigman. And at the time, I felt that was the best trade of the year, probably favoring you. I think that this is right up there. It could be number one. It could be number two in my books. So excited to see how it shakes out. And I don't want to mention this. I don't want to mention all of this without saying for Roman, I think it's still smart to try to make a play for next year. I don't think that this was uneven per se. I just think it was a huge win for Dom.
I think the biggest message is it may have felt like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were talking about the very first one style of these deals, in my opinion, which was the Christian Javier deal between Charlie and Mark. We were saying that you don't want to be one of the last guys to sell. I think this just shows further, even though Dom is sort of buying and Dom wasn't someone who traditionally would have been a buyer when the year started, there's only so many buyers and you want to sell in the beginning of it because right now, I agree in a vacuum and in a general sense, I think the return for Dom is better than what Roman's getting. But it makes sense for Roman when you boil it down, he's not competing this year. Yep. It just shows, though, how hard it is to get anybody who could be keepable. Like, there's probably a 20% outcome that the best keeper from this 25% outcome is Yuri Perez. And if it happens, he's the most valuable player in the trade. There's also probably 75% chance that none of those three are guys who for sure get kept. So you kind of have to take those shots. And I feel like it's probably best to do it early on because I think you're going to see more and more trades like what you would probably characterize last week, the Betts one with me and Misigman, or this one moving forward, as you see guys who definitely are being kept moved.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. Any other thoughts before we close out on this trade? I think it's a great one, and it's crazy that there's been so much going on in this league the past week.
Yeah,
these are blockbusters.
It is so damn fun, dude. I mean, we talk all the time to involve one of us in the trade. I love seeing these ridiculous blockbusters. It made my entire day. We recorded last week, and Misigman was talking about DMing with Charlie Brown to trade. And then they did not even trade. They were talking about, hey, I grew up in New York. I'm a Yankees fan.
Well,
Me too, buddy.
I
Like,
heard
what
that
the fuck?
I heard Charlie was trying to join him at Grill Marks too.
I think they're there tonight. That's why neither one's in the pod with us. They're doing Monday Night Grill Marks with Mark.
All right, next pod, I think we all need to go to Grill Marks and just record from there. Grill Marks
Maybe
pod.
Destination Draft next year at Grill Marks. We'll rent it out.
I'd love that. Okay. All right. So moving on to the next one. Also blockbuster.
Yeah.
This one between Brendan and Mark. And so Mark traded away Charlie Morton and Trey Turner in exchange for Nico Horner, Drew Rasmussen, Stephen Kwan, Ketel Marte, Frankie Montas. So quite a package there.
It's a big one, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, Nick?
I think I find this one to be more fair than the last one in a vacuum. I think it's great for McTaggart based on the categories he's trying to climb up in. I think it's pretty good for Mark too, though. Trey Turner is interesting because Trey Turner is expensive, but is not necessarily too expensive to the point where if he's a top like 5 player by the end of the year, I know he's been good, not great this year. But if he's somebody who ends up finishing the way he was being drafted, he's not necessarily someone you don't keep either. I don't know what McTaggart's thinking. We talked before 3 or 4 weeks ago about McTaggart having a lot of keepable, but not necessarily stud guys when Griffin was on with us. And I think Trey, assuming he becomes Trey and stays Trey the rest of the way, is somebody who even in around the $50, $55 mark, I probably would still keep. So we'll see. If he doesn't, you get rid of him. You have him for the stretch run here. That's great. Charlie Morton's useful too. Veteran pitcher, great team. Giving away though, I mean, he's giving away a lot of guys there. So Mark's got a lot of lottery tickets he's getting. Frankie Montas feels like a throw-in, but Ketel Marte is useful. Stephen Kwan is useful. Drew Rasmussen looked incredible before he went down. And I think Nico Horner is probably the big prize of this. Nico Horner is definitely someone who would have been kept by McTaggart, and I think has a lot of value. The last 2 years he's been incredible. I mean, I guess last year in the first third of this year he's been incredible, and I think his skill set is sustainable in the way that he's probably going to be a 15 to 20 home run guy with 25 to 30 plus steals, depending how he continues to run as he gets older. So I feel like that's probably the most surplus value of any piece. So I think it's great for Mark to get someone like that, just because he is close to. He's not the minimum, but he's close to it. He's in the low teens, I believe, to keep after this. So I would say it's probably something where I get it on both sides here too. There's no real strong take from me, other than I think definitely makes McTaggart better for this year, and Mark I think did better here than he has with a couple other trades, in my opinion, when he sells. So good job, Mark. I think you're listening, taking a good job of listening to it.
I agree. Yeah, I think this is a strong trade for both guys. Brendan benefits in basically all of the categories of need, like you mentioned. So
Yeah.
smart trade as usual. And then I agree. For Mark, I think Horner is the center of the trade. Horner is $14, so he can be kept for 19. But still, to your point, I think easy decision there, especially at his position. And then let's see. So Rasmussen, I think, is a tough one. I think he's $17 right now, and I'm always kind of I don't know. I'm always unsure with pitchers. I actually may not keep him.
Would you keep him or Robbie Ray if you're Mark?
Let me
We've
look.
talked about Robbie Ray also being out for the year, and Mark traded for both these guys.
So Robbie
Mark,
Ray's
right in, let us know what you're doing. But which one would you keep, Kyle, if you were Mark?
Robbie Ray's $15, so 20 to keep. Rasmussen would be 22 to keep. I don't know. I might have to dig into that deeper, and I'd want a little bit more insight on the injuries, right, Nick? And like understanding how they're doing in a vacuum. I actually like Rasmussen a little more, probably just based on his performance this year and based on the team. So I like capturing wins. Not that Seattle is bad, but yeah.
That was more just curious. We didn't prep for that. I was just curious what you thought. Because if I'm Mark, I'm not keeping both of them. I'm not wrapping up $40+ and 2 guys that haven't pitched in almost a full year by the start of next year. I guess maybe you're sort of hedging and saying, I will know by spring training next year who the best one of the options is, and I'll keep one of them. Yeah. You're just giving yourself more bullets. I tend to side with you, though. I think Rasmussen, even though the one thing I will say there is I believe this is either his second, it might even be his third. I got to look. He's had a lot of arm issues. The Rays are a smart team, and I agree with you on that. Yeah, I don't see this thing if it's a second or third. He's had a lot of Tommy Johns, though. Yeah, he's had two before, so if he has this one, it would be a third.
That's
Which
tough. Yeah.
the history of guys who come back from that is pretty much non-existent and are good again. But also, it's a newer surgery that has improved over the last decade or two. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, in a vacuum, I'd rather have him to make the decision on than Robbie Ray.
Yeah.
So Mark's probably just giving himself bullets there. Stephen Kwan and I think Ketel Marte are similar too. Where I would guess if we're placing just board bets that Mark doesn't keep both, but Mark probably finds a way to keep one of them, depending who finishes the year better.
Yeah. My opinion, he should definitely keep Quan just because Quan is $6 right now, so it'd be 11 to keep, and Marte is currently $10. So to me, a $15 Marte is probably less interesting. But who knows?
I
I
think
could be
Marte's a
off
more
on that.
complete player. I don't know. Marte's had some really good years before. I think it's maybe I'm still more on him. Marte was like a top 50 player a couple years ago.
Yeah, fair enough. So we'll have to see at the end of the season. And one additional wrinkle, Nick, I know we talked about this ad nauseum last episode,
32
but
home runs in 2019. It's crazy. Sorry.
okay, that is impressive.
Well, it was 4 years
But
ago. Who knows? It matters. Go. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
no, you're good. So another reason a guy like Rasmussen and even Marte was included in this deal, if I had to speculate, is
Salary cap.
probably due to the salary cap, right? Yeah. So Brendan is right up on the threshold. So it was within his interest to dump a couple of middling players that maybe weren't at the top of his list in
Yep.
terms of who's contributing to his team that had salary, like an actual weight. So $10, 15, whatever it may be, dumping that over to Mark, it allows him the space to add a couple guys. Trey Turner obviously is a little bit more expensive. So that's, I think, part of the strategy here. But we covered that last week.
That's
But
phenomenal insight. Great point. I
yeah.
wish I'd said that because I agree with you a lot. You're definitely right.
Anyway,
Well said.
thanks. So let's hit the last one. So this was between Charlie Brown and Zach, and it was the big Bubba. It was Mike Trout
Yeah,
for
this
Mike
one's crazy.
Harris. So yeah, this was shocking, especially after I guess the weekend of two other huge trades that we saw. I just was not expecting a trade of this caliber to grace us so soon.
This is Charlie
Um,
announcing.
yeah, this is Charlie making his intentions known. So I was not pleased to see that because I've announced that Charlie is my nemesis in this league. I don't think it's a bad trade for Zach. That's not really what I'm saying here, but Charlie is definitely making moves. So Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know what you'll say, so I'll be curious to your thoughts here. I think it's a completely fair, arguably the most fair of any of these trades. And the reason I think that is I know Michael Harris was hurt. He was a prospect, but not a top prospect who did incredible last year. And then this year he's been bad so far. We're almost to the last weekend of May, and he's hitting like 200. He's got very little power. He's missed a lot of games. And when he plays, he's hitting ninth. So he was a trendy sell high guy in redraft when the year started, and he's done nothing to kick that so far. But when you look under the hood, he's a different player than someone like on the Rangers, Adolis Garcia. Like their skill sets are drastically different. So I'm not saying they're the same style player, but Adolis Garcia, if you didn't like him 2 or 3 years ago, like I didn't at the time, like an idiot, I thought he was a flash in the pan. He's actually a
Same.
different player now too. He strikes out a lot less. It's no longer like a third of the time. It's like 25% this year. He walks more, and he's still hitting the ball hard. Similarly, Michael Harris last year, a lot of the reasons people necessarily thought he wouldn't be this as good again, he's hitting the ball harder than he hit it last year when he plays so far. He's still in an incredible lineup. He's walking more than he walked last year, and he's striking out less than he struck out last year. So I get the results aren't there. His BABIP when the day started was like in the low 200s. I think it was like 215.
Hmm.
So there's some bad luck there. He's in the best. I know you don't want him hitting ninth. You don't want him hitting eighth either, and he hit eighth or ninth last year though too. So I don't really think that's necessarily something you worry about, especially because the Braves are probably the best offense in the National League. Like I'd rather have someone who hits eighth or ninth in that offense than I would have somebody hit like third on the Nationals or the Indian or the Guardians, pardon me. So in my mind, Michael Harris is actually one of the best if this was a redraft league by lows. He's also $6 this year. He's definitely someone you're going to keep. It would take him flaming out incredibly for you not to keep him because he's also in real life. We're not playing real life baseball, but this is fantasy baseball. And in real life baseball, though, Michael Harris is an incredible defensive player, which means he's never coming out of the lineup even if he continues to struggle and has bad luck on batted ball data. he'll stay in the lineup and hit 8th or 9th until he has good luck. And his skill set's better now than it was when the year started. So I have not really soured on him at all. I've actually, in my opinion, seen his value go up a little bit. Even the stats aren't there right now. And on the other side, though, that's not do anything other than appreciate. I mean, Mike Trout's incredible. Mike Trout's one of the best players in baseball. He's going to help Charlie way more this year. I think it's a brilliant trade for Charlie in that sense, but you're giving up a lot of value. You're giving up a lot of value, I think. And for Zach, not only is he pushing to next year, which I think he has probably decided he's going to do, he mentioned in his voicemail a couple weeks ago he wants steals because of O'Neal Cruz and some other guys going down. Bichette wasn't running before he traded Bichette. Michael Harris is going to steal a lot more bases than Trout. So that's one of your categories. It makes sense even this year to maybe get you a chance to finish outside or an outside chance to finish in the money. So I think it helps both teams in some ways. But I think this arguably is one of the best buy lows possible that Zach did.
Yeah, I love your take, Nick. We've talked about this a little bit offline. I mean, just scraping the surface. I think I was a little bit lower than you on Harris overall. I think it's a great trade still, given that he's so cheap. I didn't have the insight that you did in terms of Harris as a complete player, as a defensive player.
I looked it up today because I didn't want to make sure. When we talked, Kyle and I talked offline 2 days ago when it happened.
Yeah.
When we texted about that, I wanted to check myself to make sure I wasn't wrong. And I was actually surprised by how much I didn't realize he's hitting the ball harder, striking out less, walking more. He's chasing less too. Not even striking out less, he's chasing out his own less.
I love your Garcia comp. Yeah, that's a great comp. I know they're not similar players. You stated this well, but I view Garcia as someone who multiple seasons in a row overplayed in that he got lucky in a lot of key areas if you look under the hood. And from my perspective, when I looked at Harris this offseason, I saw a lot of similar things. And
he did.
I like what you said. I think Harris is a great buy low. I think smart move by Zach. And equally, all the chips are in for Charlie. So I'm a little scared. I know, Nick, we talked a little bit offline. I was hoping to make a big announcement today. I'm a little bit nervous. So, you'll have to help me through. I'm not comfortable making this call totally, but as my nemesis, I wanted to put a little skin in the game. And
I want to challenge your nemesis.
I wanted to challenge Charlie. So we'll see if this develops a little bit, but I was toying with the idea of making a promise that I would defeat my nemesis, Charlie. And if I did not, if I do not beat Charlie, I was considering, hey, maybe I need to step away. Maybe I need to quit this league forever. But unfortunately, after I saw the Trout deal, I was a little less
Charlie's good. I don't know if I want to make the deal.
I was a little less comfortable making that call. So TBD. Maybe we'll circle back next week.
Maybe next week we'll try to get Charlie on the pod, and you guys can make some version of the deal. Whoever finishes lower in the standings has to drop out.
I like it.
Whoever finishes higher gets to be Raymond's uncle, and whoever finishes lower has to leave the league forever.
I mean, Raymond calls me uncle anyway.
Ooh.
All right. So some pretty crazy trades. That was awesome.
Yeah, exciting week of trades.
What do we have up next?
It sucks. Again, let me just reiterate. We won't talk about too much. You mentioned a really good point with McTaggart's trade for the salary cap. He got creative probably in some ways. It is tough because I see these trades and I can't really be involved in any more blockbusters unless I do something along those lines, which is not impossible, but it is hard to do. Which is one more reason I like it for Zach, by the way, because Charlie announces himself as a buyer. Even if me or McTaggart would have given you someone like Michael Harris, if we somehow also had a Michael Harris on our teams, we physically couldn't in the same kind of trade. Trout's like a $75 player or something like that. So I think it's good value adding it in there.
Yep. Yeah, well said. I know we only have a few minutes left on this Zoom. Do you have any waiver wire pickups you guys want to talk through?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few I think are good. I think just today there's one where I have had at different points Charlie Blackmon and cut him. I think in a week of 7 games, all in cores, Charlie Blackmon's a super great pickup for Griffin. So great job there. I think it's Ezekiel Tovar's an okay pickup because he is a guy who's not failed for that long for Mark. Dropping Blake Snell though is pretty fascinating to me. I'm not shocked.
I'm kind of
Snell
shocked.
Is someone to dump on, I guess. Yeah, I was surprised.
So I was just scrolling through. I did not see that until just now, and that's why I was like all over the place. I said, "What do you think, guys?" Talking to you.
Yeah, I was gonna just move on. I was like, I'm not even stop.
No, I was really confused because I thought I was on the wrong page here. I saw Snell was dropped. I'm like, that can't be right.
It's all good.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big one.
My thing's not loading. What does Snell's cost?
I mean, he's expensive. I
Yeah,
think
he's
he's
not being
20.
capped, right? Okay.
I think he's 25, but
Yeah. It's been a couple years since he was a difference maker.
yeah, I mean, I guess this pod won't.
Actually, you know what? I'm lying to you. His ERA was 3.38 last year.
He's really good, dude. He was actually the last like 3 months last year. He was, I think, the number one starting pitcher in fantasy.
He had like 50
so
or 171 strikeouts, 120 innings, dude. Never mind. He was better last year than I realized. Okay.
These cold starts are pretty typical for Snell. This probably won't come out until
he's never had an ERA of 4.3.
This won't come out until after he's picked up. So I'm probably going to put a pretty big
Me too,
dude. For him. So
his career high ERA for a single season is 4.29.
Damn, I wish I knew that Mark was going to drop him because, damn, I keep picking up all these.
It's because Mark's against a salary cap. Mark's got to get salary cap. Really.
I keep picking up all of these underperforming pitchers who get dropped, and Snell is my favorite of the bunch so far.
God damn. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, last year the whip was even good. The whip's usually his bugaboo, but last year 1.203 is good. I mean, that's completely fine with all the strikeouts he gives you. A good ERA.
I think
Snell was better last year than I realized. That's a blind spot for me.
I think Snell is a bugaboo.
He's
a big bugaboo. All right.
He got a weird goatee. He got a weird voice too. He got a weird voice.
He really does. Yeah, I liked Brad's pickup of Andres Munoz. I thought that was pretty smart. I think he picked him up for $5. And I think he's $6 total. So let's say he balls out. If you look up his Savant page, there really isn't anyone better. So if he's somehow healthy, I think he could be a good keeper for Brad.
We gotta get Brad on the pod, maybe. I just realized we haven't talked to Brad this year much.
Yeah,
Brad's going to cut Tovar too. I mean, Brad is clearly not competing this year. I'm surprised Brad cut Ezekiel Tovar.
I think Tovar was $11. So I think Tovar's been pretty bad this year, but I'm also surprised.
He has been, but I still believe in him. I don't know.
Brad also picked up C.J. Abrams, also $11, and dropped him. And Mark
Abrams is good.
Opportunity, yeah.
Mark's the one who got Tovar too. Mark is just like watching what Brad does and does it like the next week. Mark's like following Brad around, just taking his scraps.
Good moves by Mark.
Mark, if you're going to follow someone around, don't follow the guy who's in 11th place. That will get you out of 13th place. Aim higher, Mark.
I hate to give him credit, but Charlie, I think, had a good pickup too. Noelvi Marte, I think a year ago.
Yeah.
He was a lot higher.
Top 5 prospect.
Yeah, and he's dropped down a little bit. I think mostly just due to performance being a little inconsistent. You probably have some better insight than I do, Nick.
He was hurt for a little bit too.
He has been stepping up and he's been playing pretty well. So I think we'll continue to see him once again rise to the ranks. So I think well-timed pickup for Charlie.
It's a smart move too, because Marte being on the Reds is probably one of the best. On top of a good ballpark, the Reds are one of the few teams who I feel like are pretty liberal. We'll see if they hold Christian Encarnacion and Strand down for too long, but generally, as shown by McLean a couple weeks ago, like they call their guys up when they're ready. Basically, they're one of the least manipulative teams I feel like over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So those are the big ones that stick out to me.
Mike, what is your deal, man?
Oh, come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Oh, baby.
Whoa.
Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better.
How about that?
That hurt.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
So we've talked trades. We've talked waivers. Next up, we've got some news. And I think, Nick, this is why we get paid the big bucks. This is why we're the #1 fantasy baseball podcast for the Bucher's Batch of Boys League. And it's because our calls are so damn good. We got this right. And also shout out to Dom. Dom got this right. Within the past week,
Is it the same story?
yes. Within the past,
What?
well, wait. No, not that story. Not that story. No.
I thought you were gonna say you've done something in the past week.
No, within the past week, on 2 occasions, there has been a bird killed in a baseball game, in a Major League Baseball game.
Wait, I said that. I said animal will die live on the baseball field.
Okay. Dom said bird.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
I didn't remember that. Okay, well, to
Okay.
fact check that,
Well,
I
'cause-
don't remember. Okay,
Point is, this is why we're the best, guys. Like, we got
we are
this
the
right.
best.
We got this right. So Will Brennan just hit a line drive today, killed a bird. He just, strutted to first. Great. Zach Gallen 5 days ago in warmup just sliced one. It's terrible.
That one I saw.
Yeah.
It was great.
So-
Yeah.
So what happens if another one gets killed in the next 5 days?
Well, once is
Because-
random and twice is coincidence. Thrice is tradition.
Exactly. So watch out.
For the
guys.
sake of birds, watch out. I think my hot take actually was that an animal will kill another animal. So I guess technically, no bird has killed a bird, and I'm not correct yet.
If I remember correctly, I was pushing the envelope and saying, what animal is most likely to be killed. Dom
And we did say
offered-
bird because of Randy Johnson. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
I think you and Dom both agreed that the obvious point. Well, bird, because it's the only animal that we know of that has died on the baseball field. So that,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I was going to belabor the conversation and bring up the gambler's fallacy. Just because something happens doesn't mean it will happen again. But at the same point, like it's obviously valid. Like, yeah, the bird is the most likely animal, and we're continuing to see it. So great point, guys. We hit the nail on the head on this one.
Let's do a thought experiment here, actually, real
Yeah.
quick. There's no prep we did for this.
Yeah.
You're
Wait,
Zach
really?
Gallen.
You're telling me we didn't prep this?
You're Zach Gallen, Kyle. How long would it take you if you're in a vacuum fake world and you're in your regular baseball park, you have unlimited balls, and you're trying to throw to kill a bird?
In this thought experiment, instead of Zach Gallen, can I just be Julian Edelman instead?
Yes, but you're not going to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so in this experiment with Zach Gallen, sorry, you said how long would it take?
How long would it take you to kill a bird on purpose? Like you're just in warm-ups forever, or the
Are
game is just starting and you're looking for birds.
are birds plentiful, or are they roughly the same distribution that
The exact
occurs?
same distribution on average as they are in a regular baseball game. But your
So-
entire goal is to kill a bird as soon as possible with a
Bird-
baseball.
Bird Hunter Gallen.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Yeah, I think it would probably take like a month. Like it would take a really long time, but it would certainly happen more often than it does now, because he could also carry around he could also carry around like a bucket of balls.
It would definitely happen more than it does now. I agree with you.
Well, I think some people would argue that it's really hard. Like that.
No, I think it is really hard. I think you're like one a year, probably, maybe 2 a year.
Yeah, I think it might take like a month. I think that's.
I think it's probably 2 a year you get it on average for most pitchers, as opposed to like one every like decade or two, which we have right now.
But imagine you're not actually playing baseball. You're just standing out on the field for 3 hours. That's all you're doing. And you're just
Yeah.
running around with a bucket of balls and just looking for birds.
Okay, in that scenario, yeah, I guess that is more likely. In my mind, it's like you're Zach Gallen doing a game. Whenever you see
Okay.
a bird nearby, you were just turning and firing at the bird.
And you win the game automatically.
Yeah. Well, no, everybody else has no idea what you're doing. They're like, why'd you throw that? I was trying to pick a guy off, but it's like you threw it to center field. Like,
Okay, so I've got it. So Major League Baseball, they're trying to increase offensive performance, right? They're trying to make the game more exciting. So let's make the bases even larger. Let's continue to create new rules to continue this. And then as the great equalizer, like the golden snitch, if
The
if
Harry
you
Potter reference I was gonna make too. It's like the snitch in Quidditch.
if you kill a bird, you win the game.
You get 150 runs and the game ends right there.
Yeah. Oh my
All
god.
right, slightly different version of the experiment. Let's say tomorrow you're on a baseball field and you're in Mike Trout's body, Kyle.
Oof,
How long does it take? But the thing is, you look like Mike Trout, your body is Mike Trout, you speak and sound like Mike Trout, but you are Kyle inside and your baseball talent is Kyle.
Oh shit.
How many games or even innings can you go before people are like, what happened here?
Okay.
You have to get off the field.
I think I could do okay.
How long could you fake it?
I think I could do okay on offense because I just wouldn't swing. And then people would be like, Trout sees something that he likes. You know?
That patient Mike Trout.
Like I might just get walked. Like
I think for a game you probably would draw some walks.
Yeah. So I like that. So on offense, I would be good. I swear, like the first play, like the first
ball
at bat,
in the air to you, you're like, fuck,
I
where
would
is
be
it?
a mess. So they would take me out. They would just say like, dude, there's something going on. You're drunk. Maybe like the Looney Tunes, Space Jams issue.
I think even for
like,
a day or two, you could probably get away with saying, "Oh, I'm under the weather. I'm feeling sick. I misread that ball."
Yeah. Well, same question to you. I've never played baseball, so you might have.
I played baseball badly. I think it's probably
Yeah.
on average 2 or 3 games.
Okay.
I think you can get through a game as long as there's not a ton of balls hit to you. Because of what you said, I would probably for the first 2 or 3 at bats at least swing like once at most. Maybe like do a fake check swing and like look like I'm trying to swing intimidatingly, not do it.
Yeah, and then they're like, "What is with Trout's a new stance?"
But by like 2,
it looks like he's
2 games,
he's stomping. Why is he
exactly.
stomping
Why is he
and
like a
clobbering?
troll or something now? Yeah. But by like the 3rd or 4th at bat, I feel like definitely like day 2 or 3, pitchers are going to start just throwing you strikes until you swing. And the first time I take more than 1 or 2 swings in the game, and I can't just say I'm sick or something, and I look like a child swinging, like I think I'm getting benched.
Yeah,
I think it's probably 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, I think same with me.
Yeah.
Probably 1 actually. But yeah, that's.
I mean, I can see it happening in game 1, dude. Just make a bunch of terrible reads on deep. If a lot of balls get hit to you by accident, just like by dumb luck.
What sport could you get away with the most? Like if you just become another body, like I mean, you could become Shaq for a game, like any sport, but it's your skill level. I would say basketball might be a good one because even if I had my current skill set, if I literally was Shaq's body with my current skill set, I could still like get some blocks in. Like I wouldn't be as good, obviously, but
I think it's probably either basketball or maybe baseball in like a position that gets very few balls hit to you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone who's like a defense, like if you're a DH, there's very few true DHs out there. But if you're like peak David Ortiz and like you don't have to play the field anyway, you could probably get by for a few days with like not having to do much of anything at the plate before anyone notices. Like I think you're probably only, even in your scenario, right? You're probably gonna make a game or 2 max in the NBA before people are like, this guy's terrible at basketball now.
I mean, I won't have to worry about making free throws if I'm Shaq. So
yeah, exactly. No, I think like that's honestly a good concept. You have their body. It's like in basketball, it's the height's the biggest help of any sport.
Yeah,
it's probably not football or hockey. Yeah, I guess in football though, if I was like a punter.
Yeah, football.
Dude, if I was like if you put me as the punter and I punt bad like 3 times in a game, I probably don't get immediately cut. I'd probably make it a 2nd or 3rd game before I got cut.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I just like flew. I could probably punt a ball like 40 yards. If I just get to the position where I have to like cough in corner, I could dumb my way into it. Maybe.
I mean, I feel like everyone has seen their fair share of terrible special teams. It's lasted a season. So, as much as it sounds crazy, you're probably right. It takes quite a bit of time to cut.
Am I definitely a starter? Also, I could be like a backup QB and just I never play.
That'd be nice. That's the best position.
I guess I would drop the snap probably on like a PAT then get cut for that. I probably couldn't do that. Never mind. That probably would not work still. That'd be my only job. I'd still fuck it up.
Yeah, I like your answer though. I'd go with baseball or basketball. I think those are. Do
you know who Ichiro is? He played like a decade ago. He's a very, very slight stature, contact, kind of Stephen Quaney.
Okay.
Slap hitter, great contact, some power, like 5 to 10 home runs a year, but not much power. But he would hit like 330, 350. Like he would hit everything. He got to every ball. But he was probably also like 140 pounds. He was a like 5'11" height guy, very skinny though, and he was incredible. He hit like 330 a bunch of times. Do you know who Adam Dunn is?
I've heard of him, but I don't.
Adam Dunn's like the opposite. Adam Dunn's like 6'5", looks like a guy who chops down trees.
Yeah.
He would hit like 200 every year, but hit 45 home runs, strike out, and walk a lot. And he's not very athletic relative to someone like Ichiro. If tomorrow there is a team of 27 or 26, pardon me, because baseball's 26 roster, 26 Ichiros and 26 Adam Dunns. And for a 162 game schedule, they play each other head to head every day till one of them wins 9 innings. Which team has the better record at the end of the year?
Probably. I mean, I'd want to look at the stats, but probably Ichi.
I think it's probably the Dunns.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like I don't think either one's gonna be able to pitch very well. So I feel like the fact that neither one can really pitch means that the amazing ability to hit that Ichiro has contact-wise is negated some. I feel like Ichiro being able to put balls in play is great in a vacuum more, but like I don't know. I feel like if a position player is just pitching, like Dunn's strikeout woes go away some. And I think he probably also could throw some bit harder. I'm not positive on that. I guess that might be a stretch, actually. I'm going to take that back. Ichiro is a really good defensive outfielder. He could throw it pretty hard. I'd probably say the Dunns.
I'd imagine he's quite a bit faster.
Yeah, he was significantly faster. I mean, Ichiro could steal a lot of bait. Dunn was I'm trying to think who like looks like Dunn now. Dunn's like taller Max Muncy, like Jose Abreu body type. But also like he's 35 and he doesn't want to run anywhere.
Well, speaking of bodies, I'm feeling really good about my team.
Yeah.
I just picked up Lance Lynn, and I already have Manoah. Ooh. So anyone who has other thick boy pitchers, let me know.
Are you going to start Manoah against the Rays?
Probably not, honestly. Yeah. But he
I
actually
probably wouldn't either.
I mean, I know
he was good against the Orioles. He was actually pretty good. I watched that game.
Yeah, I was going to say the O's won, of course, but
he looked good.
I actually think he looked better than his stats said even, and his stats were actually fine. So kind of a reassuring start. But for me, Manoah, like, it's tough, especially we talked about Snell on the waivers. You know, that's tough if I'm making a push.
Who was drafted higher, Snell or Manoah?
Manoah is only $11. Snell is like a $26 player.
Well, I mean, like, not in our league, sorry, but I just mean like in draft valuations, like who is worth more? Because I feel like they're in the same tier, right?
Manoah, I think, was definitely ranked higher to begin.
Okay.
And then, especially for Dynasty, I think Manoah.
Yeah, no, he's cheaper and he's younger for sure. I'd rather have Manoah.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is rest of season, I might want Snell. And
we can
tough.
say this, actually, because you made a good point earlier. No one's going to see this until after Snell's been picked up tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So I can share.
We should place bets. Who gets Snell? Who's going to get Snell? I won't tell you my bet. You don't tell me yours. Who has Blake Snell tomorrow morning?
Ooh, I like this. So, okay, I'd have to look at the rosters a little bit because I know Brendan.
Nope. Before we get any chance to do it, we can't do it.
Okay. I know like Brendan probably can't because
I probably can't actually. Fuck.
He has too much money.
I was gonna say me, and I was gonna bid a lot. And now I just realized I can't. You're right. The salary cap.
Honestly, it's probably Charlie. Although I don't know how close he is to the cap. I don't think he's all that close. It's probably
he's like $30 away from it.
Probably Charlie or me or like I don't know. I don't know who else really wants him. Maybe Dom, but Dom has a lot of pitchers. I have a lot of pitchers too. I want to sell my starting pitchers.
Who cut him?
Mark.
All right, so it won't be Mark. Watch it be Mark. What odds would I have to give you, Kyle, for it to be Mark?
Well, someone did that. Charlie did that like 2 weeks ago with Iglesias.
Look, I would make fun of Mark, but also if Mark re-added him, and that's probably a good choice.
Yeah,
like it would be smart. Like you can't marry yourself to now Blake Snell's bad if you've decided somehow between today and tomorrow Blake Snell's not bad and re-add Blake Snell. Like in reality, it would be the right move if you think it's good. Mark might just not think that. But I think if I was Mark, I also, to be fair to Mark, I would be like, nope, he's terrible. I never want him again. I would just make that my thing. So I can hide myself from the idea of ever needing to bid on him.
Yeah, and just build up more and more cognitive dissonance just to,
Yes.
Snell finishes as a top 3 pitcher in baseball, and it's like, no, he sucks.
He's still bad, dude. He still walked too many guys. No, I would take Lockett really heavily, which is probably what Mark will do because Mark's human. That's what I would do. I'm going to say you, Charlie. Mark's dad might buy him, dude.
Oh, that's a good one. He'll probably win. I don't have much money left. I'm always an Alfred Morris spender early and often.
I'm not. I have like so much money
Yeah.
left. It doesn't even matter anymore because everybody's too expensive for me to buy. I have to wait for like a prospect, I guess. I need Juan Soto to come up.
Yeah. So speaking of good pitchers, though, one quick stat I wanted to share because I thought there were a few that you probably know, Nick, but they weren't intuitive to me, and they were not
I probably don't know.
highly
Let's see if I
ranked
know.
to begin the season. Who do you think is leading baseball as of yesterday evening? So not including any games today. Leading baseball in strikeouts.
Who has the most strikeouts?
Yeah, I have the top 10 list in front of me. So if you just rapid fire a couple of
Is
names.
it Kevin Gossman?
So yeah, Kevin Gossman is 2. Great one.
Oh,
And
he had been winning it for a while.
number 1 is on your team.
Is it McClanahan?
No, the other
Strider?
best. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Believe it or not, Strider is also number 1 in Stuff Plus. Now number 1 over
That I knew.
Ohtani.
If you'd asked me that one, I would have known that. Wow.
Yep.
Ohtani's top 5 in Ks too, right?
Ohtani is number 3, which
Yeah.
that just goes to show you how valuable Ohtani is. It's wild. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have the top 10 in front of me. Do you want to take a couple other stabs? A lot of the names are pretty obvious, but I think there are 2 or 3 that are.
Is McClaney top 10?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good. Strike one. So I know Strider's 1. I know Gossman is 2, you said. Ohtani's 3.
Yep.
Is I'm trying to think who's just been shoving this year.
The Bird Hunter is one of them.
Oh, Gallon. Yeah, Gallon's been
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's right, Gallon. Let's see. Not Burns, not Cole.
Cole's number 10.
Oh, Cole's actually on there. Wow.
Cole
has not gotten any swinging strikes in the last couple. Like Cole is, I think, still keepable, but Cole's been interesting this year. He's not been like the way Burns is, where he's been bad, but it's interesting.
He also has a 2 flat ERA, and
no, he's one of the only pitchers that gotten blown up. I'm just saying his swinging strikes are the lowest they've been in a while.
Yeah,
it's weird to see. Let's see who else has been good. Give me. Is Logan Webb on there?
No.
Is Mitch Keller on there?
Yep. Yeah, great guess. So Mitch Keller is number 4 currently.
Wow.
So, just take a look at like what a buy. I think Keller, is he on Eric's team?
Mitch Keller's a great buy. He stopped giving up hits and walks. 5 or 6 games straight with at least 8 Ks. He looks good, man. He's figuring it out.
And I'm trying to find Keller now. I think I misspoke. He may be on Roman's team.
He feels like a Roman guy.
Yeah, he is on Roman's team.
Yeah,
so,
he felt like he would be.
The next guy is on Eric's team, Pablo Lopez.
Yeah, Pablo Lopez is in there.
Number 5, which I traded him away. So great pickup for you, Eric. And
I'm just thinking about this now. I'm thinking about like for a different segment next week or the week after that, maybe in June, like the Pablo Lopez trade revisited. My like Sal Perez trade. We should revisit all the trades. Or maybe we should revisit them outside of the pods. We don't go over all of them for an hour and a half and just like pick our favorite 5 we want to bring back up where our stance has changed. So I bet there's somewhere I would be like, fuck, I've changed my opinion.
My vote is maybe a week where we have a light week and not many trades, not a blockbuster week like the one we just had.
Eventually there'll be a week without 3 straight plus giant moves.
Yeah, I've been waiting for the league to slow down, and it really hasn't yet. So
just wait until like fantasy football content starts up. I feel like that's when it happens.
Sure. Yeah.
Like July, basically. I feel like the 4th of July when people like ESPN starts puffing that out.
So to finish up the top 10, Framber Valdez and Hunter Green. Yeah. Oh, and Clayton Kershaw is number 9.
Kershaw would have been the one I probably would have not gotten.
Yep.
Hunter Green is interesting. Hunter Green's getting a lot of K. Hunter Green, he's not Mitch Keller's skill set, but like prospect growth is not linear. Mitch Keller's wasn't linear. Hunter Green's going to be really good in a year or two.
Yeah, I didn't realize the pedigree for Keller as well. Like I feel like I should have been more in on him.
Former top prospect.
That's one where I feel like we should have seen that coming, but good job, Roman, getting him.
It's tough though, because for every Mitch Keller, there's a Brian Mattis or a Chris Tillman or a Dylan Bundy. I'm just naming Orioles one specifically. There are a lot because it's a similar team too. It's a team you didn't think was that smart for a long time.
Right.
Where they never make it.
Yeah.
But that you're right there. The lesson is just keep taking lottery tickets.
We also one other quick fun stat, Nick, just a pulse check on players who are hot right now. Last time we talked about the top OPS hitters in all of baseball, with 50 at bats being kind of the qualifier set up arbitrarily. So Morel of Cubs is obviously been very hot. He hasn't quite hit 50 at bats, but he's by far in the lead with 1352 OPS. So he is flaming hot right now. I feel like any podcast I see pop up on YouTube, baseball wise, is talking about, is Morel a trade high? So he's a hot commodity right now.
I'll say he hits under that OPS the rest of the way.
Really?
I'll take the under.
And then Corey Seager is the new king of OPS. He's the number one OPS of any qualifying hitter. Number 2 is Aaron Judge, which I thought was actually kind of surprising.
Judge is quietly top like 4 or 5 in home runs too, and he missed a lot of time.
Yep.
That's part of the reason Charlie's good again.
Yep. And pairing Judge with Trout, I think, might help. That might help.
I think the chemistry's going to mess up.
You think there's going to be some drama?
I can't see Charlie leading that well.
No?
Too many big personalities. This is fun insight because Raymond Zink doesn't play in our league anymore. But I share a team with Raymond in a league that Charlie helps to run. And
that must be fun.
No. Me and Raymond it's a dynasty AL league, so only half the baseball players are in it. Me and Raymond, we're good last year. We're not good this year, though. We're selling Kyle Tucker, who was in the last year of his contract in this league.
Wow. And
Charlie and Raymond have been emailing very, very frequently. And Charlie lit Raymond on fire. I'm always just CC'd. I don't really take an active role in the leadership of that team, but let me read the message Charlie sent Raymond and me.
You more so just lead scouting and kind of, send your...
I lead morale and like all the analytics, and Raymond's just like the pretty face for the team. So after 17 emails back and forth.
17? Oh,
yeah.
God.
Raymond said, we will discuss, and if we end up selling, we'll let you know. Nick is more committed, I think, to not selling just yet because it's still early. And then Charlie responds at 3:19 a.m. This is East Coast time, and it's a screenshot from Raymond. So it's 3:19 a.m. Charlie responded to this.
Unhinged.
You are a pain in the ass! ! You keep moving the goalposts after making offers. Just forget it. I'll find someone else I want to deal with. To which Raymond replied, none of these have been offers, just brainstorming and open discussions like sports teams do in real life too. If you want to pull the plug on any dialogue, suit yourself. And Charlie said, there have been 17 emails already. I am moving on.
Charlie, and then Raymond replied, enough.
Raymond replied again. This was, I think, Sunday morning. Okay, hope this 18th email does not ruffle your feathers anymore. Let me know if you want to discuss again.
Wow. Yeah, so, yeah. I'm just wondering, is anyone shocked that he's my nemesis? Like,
he is the antithesis of you, dude.
When you get those types of messages, it's a little bit of a motivator to go out there.
I feel like we gotta get Charlie on the pod.
I'm always down. I'd love it.
I think I'm gonna actually text Charlie one-on-one this week and be like, because I don't think Charlie has seen any of these episodes either. Just gonna be like, Charlie, we're doing a podcast about the league. It's time to get you in here.
Charlie, it's showtime, baby.
Charlie's gonna be like, what's a podcast?
I think he'll love it. We'll make him write at home. I'd love to put a face to the name. I literally imagine the cartoon Charlie Brown whenever I talk to him. And I'm like, why are you talking to me like this, Charlie?
Imagine like You remember like Mr. Peanut, the old guy in the Peanut ads?
Yeah.
Add like 25% of like Raymond's features to that. And now you have Uncle Raymond.
Hot Raymond.
Still a hot Raymond, yeah. So with a monocle and everything too. Like they do look a little bit alike. I don't have any photos of them to show, but right. I'm gonna message him, I think, and see like, Charlie, let's get you on. Because we've had everybody on except for Brendan, Charlie, Mark's dad.
We haven't had Brad. We're missing a lot.
Oh yeah, we're missing Brad too.
We're missing Eric, Brad.
I think it's just Brad, Eric, Charlie. We've had like 8 guys on, haven't we?
It's all a blur at this point.
I'm just gonna read the standings, and you tell me if we've had them or not. You keep track.
Okay.
Well, I don't know why. Like, actually, I can just do it in real time too. I'm on here. McTaggart's not been. Charlie's not been. You are. Griffin's been on. Dom's been on. Eric is not. Striali is not. Mark Stad is not. Mysticman has been. Brad is not. Roman and Mark have. Okay. Actually, honestly, looking at it in real time, Kyle, basically, if we had you on, you're not doing well. We are cancer. Everybody who's been on is not doing very well.
We're distracting you from the actual game. We're like, yeah,
we're
just come spend time with us.
Remember when Dom was in like first place? We had him on. I was in 6th. Griffin was in like 2nd or 3rd. Now Griffin's in 5th.
We have people on so we can leech their skills. We can.
That's a great
leech
term
off
for it.
of them.
We just parasite into them. We hear what they say. We just do their things for them. We take their mindset and we just use it as ourselves.
I love it.
Except for Brad. Brad is not good, and Brad's not been on either.
Well, Brad.
Yeah, Brad should be on too. Maybe we start doing doubles. Maybe we have Brad and Charlie on together.
That's a good pair.
Like a double date. I feel like it's both our rivals.
Yeah, Brad is one of your rivals though across
in fantasy
other
sports,
fantasy
Brad
sports.
is definitely my rival.
That is true.
If Raymond's not in this anymore, it probably is Raymond. Or probably is Raymond.
For any of you who are just kind of on the baseball side, I feel like on the football side of things, there have been many years where Nick, I mean, you're all seeing it. It's not unusual. Nick puts together this team and you're like, how did this happen? Like just all the studs on one team. You're like, how many first round picks does this guy have? And so Nick's going in and you're like, all right, like, I think the playoffs might be a wrap. Brad comes in with like a ragtag group of guys, but sure enough, like
a bunch of like woodland animals in disguises.
It's true. Like
it's like a Disney movie, dude.
It's not. I feel like it's so much funnier than it is probably to anyone listening.
Nope, they know.
If you have the context, like. I mean, Brad is pretty good at fantasy football too. Like, I feel like he always has a solid team, so it's not like Brad is just like getting lucky. But yeah, he does have Brad guys. He just has a specific, to say the least.